Well, I know you said, your wedding has been interrupted many a time, twice through because of COVID. I know you said that this is it, 2022, it's Vegas. If it doesn't happen, how serious were you about that?
Not that serious. I mean, well, I don't know. If the world does throw another like wrench in the gears, then yeah, we're just gonna knock it out. But we already feel like we're married. We bought a house together. We got dogs together. We live in sin together. So it feels like we are married. But yeah, we kind of wanted to throw a party. I jokingly say we want to have a big wedding because we have a lot of rich friends and we want all their gifts. But the truth of the matter is that I think we want to have a big wedding because we want to give everyone like a big party to go to. It's been a while since everyone's been able to, black out and have a really good time together. And so we want to be able to do that. We want to be able to do that for everyone, but we all want to be able to do it safely. So hopefully it'll happen soon. If not, then yes, we will go to Vegas, or we're gonna go to like Paris, like do something really romantic with like 4 friends, and that'd be it.
Do like a destination wedding? Like, do you have like a date? Like, do you have any? I mean, 2000. Almost in March here. Like, we have a bunch
Yeah,
of time left, but not really.
yeah, but I'm hoping that it's gonna happen this year. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You will get lots of good gifts, I'm sure. Some. Do you have any like don'ts for your wedding list? Like food. I mean, like you said, like you were a DJ, you've been the bartender. Like, do you have any like absolute must nots or musts for your wedding?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm in charge. I'm not in charge, but like there are things that I care about that I want to make sure that like get run past me, and it's band because I was the radio guy, so I want to be like, this band's good. And then booze, and then I wanted a taco truck like at the end of the night somewhere where people are just like can't see straight eating, like Baja tacos. Those are the 3 things that I was like big into. And because like here's the thing, you don't, I mean maybe you do, but like flowers are so expensive. They're the most expensive thing. And I've been to a million weddings. There isn't a single wedding where I look back and I'm like, man, the fucking flowers are just abs. And I've never thought that. I've looked back and been like, that band was super rad, or like, I can't believe they had crappy, crappy booze, like those are the things that I think about. So I want to make sure we check off all the things that like I think about.
I get it. Like, if you don't have the right like top shelf liquor, the band is and the
Yeah.
food, like the food.
Yeah.
If there's not enough food, forget it. Like, people are starving by the time you get there. It's like there's got to be the food. The food has to be on point.
I also want to be quick. I don't want people to be sweating, out in the field, I mean, like, when is this gonna fucking happen? Because I've been to enough of those weddings where you're just like looking at your watch, being like, God, I don't care. Can we get to the this is the dancing now?
People want to have their drink,
Yeah.
Well, I know you say acting is not for you. You'll leave that to Sarah, but could you ever see a world in which the converse is true? I mean, Sarah's a brilliant actress. She's busy. You're busy. You just filmed a show for Netflix, which we'll get into in a second. But can you guys ever see like doing a reality show about, listen, we had Newlyweds with Nick and Jessica. That was a huge hit. Reboots are everywhere these days. Maybe it's time for Sarah and Wells, Newlyweds.
We actually pitched a game show together during the pandemic, and it was passed on by every major network. So shame on you, every network. But yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I was watching Love Is Blind, and I forgot that Nick Lachey and his wife
Vanessa, yeah.
They're like the hosts, but they're like there for 15 seconds. And I'm like, come on, can we get that gig or gig like that where like we film 15 seconds of the first episode and like 25 seconds of like episode 8 and are like EPs in the show? How do we do that?
That's not a bad gig.
Yeah.
Would you ever do a show though like Newlyweds about your guys' life? Just you're newlyweds, just let the cameras in, let's let it all hang out.
Through money, anything is possible, you know? Sure, I'd never say no. Even though that's not what I said earlier as my one piece of advice for showbiz.
Well, yes, money talks, but so what advice would you give Sarah then? I mean, you are the expert and you've seen all these people come and go on Bachelor Nation. You've been there yourself. Like, what advice would you give her on reality TV?
Don't do it. But I mean, well, she wouldn't though. But yeah, I actually the thing that she watches the show. I think like everyone watches the show, and she gets emotional, which is what makes the show good. Like if you don't hate the villain, then they're not a good villain, and if you don't love the heartthrob, then they're not a good heartthrob. You know, like you're supposed to feel a certain way about things, and I love that she feels that way about the show. And it's always funny when I inevitably introduce her to people of whom she didn't care for when she watched on the show. And she's like, I don't want to meet them because I don't like, and I'm like, just give them a chance. And the thing that I have to remind her, I have to remind everyone out there, no one's ever as bad as they look like on the TV, and no one's ever as good as they look on the TV. They're somewhere in the middle there. And also, there is everyone, myself included, who like I had a radio show for 9-10 years before I went on The Bachelor. I had to self-edit. On every day I had a morning show. I self-edited myself. I was very smart. I never had a scandal. I never said anything really wrong. And then I went on the show, and I said things that were stupid. And I think you have to like give everyone a little bit of rope. And so that's something that a piece of advice that I've always have to remind her of, and everyone else out there as well, is that like you've got to like give these people like a little bit of leeway. And that's what I love about Paradise, is that Paradise is usually the redemption story for everyone. Usually the really really bad guys end up being good guys, and a lot of times the really really good guys, you can see their faults, then they become kind of normal. And I like that about the show. It kind of evens the playing field.
Do you watch any other like Housewives? Like, do you guys watch any other reality TV for you?
Yeah, I mean, we watch Fuckboy Island because my good friend, and actually the guy who like kind of like created the bartender role for me, Along Gale, he left The Bachelor and then he went and made that show, and he's a genius. And so we watched that, and we watch a lot of like the bad dating ones, Love is Blind, Too Hot to Handle.
They're all so good. I don't even know. Fuckboy Island was great. Too Hot to Handle is just brilliant.
The
You're
Circle,
like The Circle.